This video is looking at standard form of our linear equation. So our standard form is going to be ax plus by equals c, where a and b and c are all real numbers. They can't be zero. And you'll notice both the x and the y values are both on the same side of the equation. Now we use this equation a lot when to help us find our x-intercept and our y-intercept. So we talked about y-intercept before being where the graph crosses the y-axis. But now our x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-intercept. So when we're graphing in standard form, that's what we're going to do. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find our x-intercept. I'm just going to abbreviate it that. And then we're going to find our y-intercept. And then we plot those. Then all we do is we have 2 points, and that's enough to draw our line and connect those dots. So if we have x minus 2y equals -2, the first thing that we're going to do is find our x-intercept. And the x-intercept is when our y value is 0. So we replace y with 0. Our equation would be x minus 2 times 0 equals -2. Well, when we do that, this goes away, and then we're just left with x is equal -2. So our x-intercept is at -2. X is at -2. It crosses right here. Now the y-intercept is when x equals 0. So we replace 0 with x, so 0 minus 2y equals -2. This goes away. I'm just going to write it as -2y equals -2. We want to get y all by itself, so we divide both sides by -2. This goes away. -2 divided by -2 is 1. So when y equals 1 is our y-intercept. So y equals 1. We go right over here. And then that's enough to draw our line. So our line will look something like that. I want to look at 2 other special cases. Here I have x equals 2. X equals 2. The equation, or this line, is a special line, and it's every single x value is 2, is essentially what it means. Every single x value is 2, so I could have an x value here. I could have a y value here when x is 2. And you're going to see, as I start putting these points, x is always 2, we get a vertical line. And then if I have y equals -1, so if it's ever y equals some number, this is always going to be a horizontal line, because no matter what, the y value is always going to be -1. So y is -1 here, y is -1 here, y is -1 here. And we get a horizontal line. So again, when graphing, find the x-intercept. So that's when y is 0, and plot that point. Then find the y-intercept. That's when x equals 0, and plot that point. And then you just connect your 2 points. Now, to write something in standard form, the very first thing that we want to do is we want to get rid of fractions. So if you have any fractions, we're going to get rid of them by multiplying both sides of the equation by some number. And we'll talk about what that looks like. Then we're going to move the variables to one side, all the variables, and then we're going to move all of our numbers to the other side. So constants. So let's rewrite in standard form. standard form, we generally don't want fractions in, so we want to get rid of those fractions. And so if you just have one fraction, you're going to multiply by the denominator. If you have multiple fractions, you want to find the lowest common denominator and use that. So this time it's 7. So I'm going to multiply everything by 7. So 7 times y is 7y equals, what happens here is the 7 here cancels out with the 7, so we're just left with a negative 3x plus 7 times 5 is 35. Now we want to just move our variables all to one side. I already have this variable all alone, so I'm going to move my 3x over here. These cancel out. I can't combine these because they're not like terms. And we generally put the x value first, so I'm going to do 3x plus 7y equals 35. And there we are in standard form. 3x plus 7y equals 35. Let's look at this one. Again, we have a fraction, so we're going to multiply by that denominator. And so I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So 2 times y is 2y plus 2 times 1 is 2 equals, now see this 1/2 is multiplying by this whole thing. All I have to do is multiply that 2 right here by the 1/2. So that's just going to be a 1. And then I have x plus 6. Now then I would distribute this 1 essentially. And I don't, so we get 2y plus 2 equals, well, that's just x times 1 is x, and x times 6, or 1 times 6 is 6. Now what we want to do is we want to get all of our variables to the same side. It doesn't matter which way that we do this now. Maybe we want to move the x's over here again. So let's subtract this x. Now there's no like terms here, so again I'm going to put this negative x plus 2y plus 2 equals 6. Our variables are all on the one side, but now we have to move our numbers, or our constants. So we're going to subtract this 2 from both sides. Negative x plus 2y equals 6 minus 2, which is 4. And now we are in standard form.